have to unmute.
Yeah, Chair Akins.
Here?
Vice Chair Quinn.
Here.
Commissioner McHatton.
Here.
Commissioner James.
Here.
And Commissioner Convery absent.
Correct. Okay, so this time we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And this is James bringing up the flag. There we are. You'd stand and follow me, please. Okay, hand over heart. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I was told by my grandsons listening to the Pledge of Allegiance for a bunch of second-year-olds is just hilarious. So, okay, public communications. Lucas, do we have public comments, or do we need to take our 5-minute break, or what's the plan?
We have no public comments. There are public comments for a specific item, but not general public comments for tonight's
Right.
meeting.
So do we need to pause, or do we move ahead, or do we wait for the pause on number 2, or?
No need to pause. Oh, when we get to that item, yes, we will need to pause.
Okay, then we'll need to pause. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go to consent item number 1. That's the minutes for August 13th, 2020. Oh, first of all, museum representative report. I'm sorry, I was too concentrated on tonight to ask Wendy for that. I will tell you that they are getting in the submittals for the Ojai Studio Artists exhibits. That will be a online exhibit until we can open up the museum to a limited degree. So that's your museum representative report for the moment. Okay, we'll go to consent item number 1, which are the minutes. Do we have any changes to the minutes?
No.
No. Do we have a motion then to approve?
I so move.
I'll second it.
Okay, Gina seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. Thank you all very much. I'm always like, which hand is it? Because it's backward. Okay, we're now going to move on to item number 2. And Lucas, I just want to make sure I get this correctly, the order. So we do the, are you first as a staff presentation, and then we do the property owner and then public comments, or did I get that wrong?
I think we should do, I mean, the order that we could do, as long as the chair is okay with it, is staff presentation, and then have the applicant give a presentation, open that up for public comment, and then pause to allow for those individuals that would want to write in a public comment at that point to do so. We can do a 3 or 5 minute pause, and then you'll have the commission will have the opportunity to close the public hearing at that point, and then we can move on to deliberation and Q&A.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so we are on item number 2. Item number 2 is addressing the 410 Tico major permit request. And so at this time, we will turn the time over to Lucas to do our staff report, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair and Commission. My name is Lucas Seibert, Community Development Manager here with the City of Ojai. As a recap, I'm just going to give a little bit of history as to this item. As the Commission will recall, this item was brought before the Commission back in June 11th, I believe. There was to be a public hearing. However, I would say at the 11th hour, staff and myself, I had identified that there were issues that needed to be worked out in terms of processing and the item was continued. But we still allowed for public comment at that point and some comments from the commission as well. At that proposal, it was a two-story proposal at the June 11th meeting. Staff went back to the drawing board. I went back to the drawing board, worked with the applicant to address those concerns that I identified. And those concerns revolved around having a historic resources report that was under contract with the city and not with the applicant. In addition to that, we hadn't had an opportunity with that historic resources report to reach out to a liaison through the museum. So we needed to take care of that as well. That was another critical piece that hadn't been done. So we also went back to the drawing board and had a representative from the museum take a look at the historic resources report that was under contract with the city. The historic resources report that was under contract, that is under contract with the city, was done by Post Hazeltine Associates. That report was also shared with Terry Hill, who is the museum representative. The information that was provided there with Terry Hill and the Ojai Museum representative provided some. Overall, Terry Hill was supportive of the changes that were proposed. And mind you, when we went back to the drawing board and talked with the applicant, it went from a two-story proposal to a single-story proposal, which is what is before the commission for consideration tonight. That wasn't something that the city had recommended. That was actually something the applicant, in working with the architect, had decided to move forward with and consider instead of a two-story addition. So just to give kind of an overview of what had happened, in talking just briefly with Terry Hill, the Ojai Museum representative, and then we'll go into the plans here. There were a couple things that he identified that I wanted to make sure that was out there for the record. It's already provided within the agenda report, but I just wanted to highlight these as well. He identified the support for the solution of the solution to the unusual internal circulation that currently exists for the home. And we'll go into some details on that with the floor plan. And in addition to that, he supported the update to the Mills Act agreement timeline, which actually has been included as a condition of approval. So not only is this a historic landmark, it's historic landmark number 15, it's also a Mills Act agreement. It also has a Mills Act agreement associated with it as well. That Mills Act agreement typically has a 10-year time frame for renovations, revisions, and preservation components that are folded within that.
I'm in a meeting right now. Who am I speaking to?
The timeline for that expired in 2018 and hasn't been renewed, or the situation with Mills Act agreements is they renew yearly anyway, but there wasn't necessarily a timeline that identified what improvements or preservations or renovations were being done within that time frame. So we're working with the applicant to establish a new timeline into the future, and that's a part of the conditions of approval that are up for consideration as a part of the resolution, which is attachment A to this agenda report. So that's pretty much an overview of the history leading up to what we have today as a proposal for consideration for the Historic Preservation Commission. At this point, I'd like to share my screen, and I have some slides here as a part of a PDF, and I believe that the architect will use these as well as a part of a reference. All right, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Lucas, quick point here. These are in the staff report, right?
Yes, so these slides are a part of the staff report. It is attachment B of the report as well.
I've got to say, it's really weird actually being here next to the living room and seeing a view from the living room right in front of me.
Yeah, so what we have here is this is the site plan. This is the proposal itself. So what you're seeing here is two renovations that are taking place here, and that is for the removal of really a 1940s addition that was made to the home, and in place of it is really this I'd say the overall square footage is about 450 square feet that's being added to it, where you take out the demolition of the 1940s addition, and then you add in the new square footage. Additionally, the kitchen is also receiving some renovation to it as well. So moving on to the next slide, you can see this is the actual demolition that's proposed to take place. The highlighted area in red that you're seeing in the upper right-hand corner is the area that's proposed for demolition. That is that 1940s addition, and that also identifies some of the circulation concerns that I had mentioned previously when speaking with Terry Hill, the museum representative. In addition to that, you're seeing some of that blue, which is also renovations and removal of interior walls and some of those window replacements as well. The architect will go into a little bit more detail. I want to kind of give an overview of what we're looking at here. Again, this is the floor plan now, as what we're in terms of what we're seeing here. And
Move it a little bit to the left because the pictures are going over it.
All I have to do is hit the minus sign and the photos of us go away.
Or you can
Remove the photos.
drag us out of the way.
Oh,
does that help?
that's better. Yeah.
So this, and in terms of direction, this is really the northeast corner of the home itself. This is where a majority of the renovations are taking place. The pink here, this little silhouette that you can see here, is the existing 1940s addition, and then you can see the proposed addition here. It's a bathroom, it's a master bath, a master closet, bedroom, sitting area, and then there's some work interior that's taking place over here, enlarging the bathroom. And you can see that work that's being done here in the kitchen. You remember in the demo there was a wall here, a dividing wall, kind of a breakfast nook here, as well as a
Laundry area.
Yeah, it was a washer dryer room, laundry room. All right. And here you can see some of the elevations in terms of existing elevations, the north, south, east, and west elevations. And then under them are the proposed elevations that you're seeing here. What's nice about what we're seeing here is that you can see that contrast in terms of what's taking place here. Instead of flipping pages, the two of them are easily recognizable in terms of what work is being proposed. Here you can see the south elevation as existing and proposed, and then the west elevation existing and proposed. The ones that really pay attention to would be the east elevation that you're seeing here on the left, and then the north elevation that you're seeing here on the right. That's where you're seeing a majority of the work that's being proposed. Let me zoom out here. Oops. There we go. All right. In addition to that, there is a proposal for a very small accessory structure. I didn't highlight it on the plans at the beginning, but I will here in a moment. And it's very simple, very elegant in its simplicity. You can see that here. They're showing all 4 elevations here. Now let me go back to the beginning here to kind of give you an overview of where that's located out on the site plan. So that actually be towards the south here, this area that I'm highlighting. So with this, as I had mentioned previous, there was a historic resources report that was prepared by Post Hazeltine and Associates, and in that report they concluded that the addition that is being proposed is in keeping with the Secretary of Interior standards, and they've used rehabilitation as a part of the function here that drives the modifications to this residence, this historic landmark. And it's been highlighted within that report itself. I know I have Tim and Pam from Post Hazeltine here tonight as well, and they'll speak on that as well. Lastly, I want to identify that staff with this proposal is recommending approval based on the facts of finding within the draft resolution for consideration by the commission tonight, and based on the conditions of approval that are also within that resolution. And in addition to the supporting evidence that you're seeing here with the plans, with the historic resources report, staff is recommending approval of this proposal as it's been proposed for the Historic Preservation Commission. I would like also to mention that there are, I'm going to stop sharing here for a moment.
Lucas, before you did, can you pop that back? A quick question, because it's a lovely house, but it has these arms going out in different directions. So seeing that this is looking towards the south from the northeast, standing on the west side of the building isn't real helpful. So on the chart that you just put up, is there any direction pointing, north on them to show us what the axis of that is?
You're talking about...
Because for the life of me, I had to do a Google Earth, blow it up, put it on a big piece of paper and put an N on it so I could tell what was north, and then be able to tell what those views were.
Right, you're talking about for the elevations?
No, for the when I'm looking at the top, what direction is north? When I'm looking, at the kind of a upper view, looking down on the house.
There should be an arrow on the plans that signify north. At least there are in the plans that I have.
Yeah, north is up.
Yeah, so this would be the north arrow that you're seeing here.
Down at the bottom?
Yep.
And it's kind of pointing
over to the right,
north to a little bit to the right. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit. Right.
Okay.
It's not a true north in terms of when we talk about, like, for instance, the north elevation here or the east elevation here.
Okay. Yeah, that was just a mind challenge for me. Great, thank you.
Hold on, there was something else that I was, there were, I also want to mention that there were 8 public comment letters that were submitted, either via email or in a formal letter format. Of those 8, I just want to make reference of this tonight for the record. Of those 8, 7 identified support and 1 opposition. And I want to just identify the individuals here. I had the first one that I have here is a Danielle Beach, identifying support for the project. For the second letter that I have here is a Craig Walker, identifying opposition to it.
Lucas, well, rather than a full-throated opposition, Craig was kind of an opposition with possible mitigating suggestions. Is how
That's a good point. That's a good point. There were within he's identifying some conditions of approval to consider for the commission for tonight. And certainly we can dive into that at some point. I'm kind of giving an overview of the 8 here, just quickly here. Number 3 is from Suzanne and Blake Wilson, offering their support for the project and proposal. And then I have a Darcy Gamble offering support for the project. That's number 4. Number 5 is from a Ranjit and Pradeep Dhillon, and they're in support of the project. Number 6 is a Cynthia Ward Lindenbaum,
and she's with us on this broadcast.
Oh yes, and she's offering support for this as well. Number 7 is from a Ruth and Herb Hemming, and they are both offering support of the proposal and renovation plan. And then the 8th one, certainly not least, is Megan and Christine Bentz, and they are offering support of the proposal as well. So with that concludes staff's presentation. I'm going to stop sharing for the moment, but we can certainly go back to the plans, and I believe that Tom Henson has also a presentation tonight as well.
That's right.
Okay, Ken, before you start, Tom, can we just do a bit of introduction? Mr. Domley, who is here, is representing Matt Summers for the city. Yep. And then also here are Pam Post and Tim Hazeltine, who are, of course, from Post Hazeltine, and prepared the first historic report. And then, as Lucas said, they took bids, did an RP for bids for the report that under the auspices of the city. There were 6 people that submitted proposals, is what I'm told, and Post Hazeltine was chosen from that by Lucas. So, and of course we have the owners, Randy and Sasha Levitt, who are with us. And up in also joining us, as I said, is Cynthia Lindenbaum, who was one of the people who sent the letter in. So thank you very much.
Chair Aiken, if I can just jump in here real quick. Lucas, just to confirm that for the purposes of the record here, we've concluded with the staff report and all the items in the staff report, or the administrative report that was prepared by staff, and now we're moving on to the presentation from the applicant's architect.
Correct.
Actually, I'd like to say a few words first, if I may.
Yes, Randy, please go ahead.
Oh, thanks. Thank you, Brian. I just want to say that, and you've met Tom before, but he's very soft-spoken. He is very prominent. He and his company, his firm from Santa Barbara, with over 35 years of experience. And Tom, when you start, I'd like you to say a little bit about the projects that you've done in the past. But I want to say that because of the first brief meeting that we had in June, Kash and I, with Tom's help, Brian, can you hear me?
I did. I got your name wrong. I feel bad. Sorry. Kasha.
Oh, no problem. No problem at all. So we went and re-looked. We had originally looked at single-story options. We heard how important it was, and we found a way to do it without with negligible effect on the oak trees, which was our original concern. And we have a tree report where the arborist had confirmed that, and so that made us spend a lot of time after that, just honing this plan, trying to make it as minimal as we can with the least change on the historic footprint while preserving the existing building. And we think we did actually a better job. And so I appreciate your comments last time because I think that helped. And with only about 400 square feet of new space after taking into account the removal of the deck and the 1940s addition. I think we have something that preserves the integrity of the house, brings it up to functionally current standards, and that I think is lovely that the neighbors support. And I'd also like to say that of the 7 people who supported, 6 of those were neighbors from the front, the back, the side, all of those comments were from people within either contiguous, and the other one is Megan's within the 300 square feet. So they received, so everybody here that we've talked to about the plan has supported it. And even the beaches, we didn't ask them to send a letter of support, but Dan did it anyway. And Cynthia is kind enough to actually be here right now to express her support. So hopefully she'll get a chance as well to talk. So this plan, I think it has the smallest footprint of what, I think it's amazing getting so much in such a small area. It's still the smallest of the 3 George Washington Smith spec houses. It's single story, and I'm hopeful that you'll all be very happy with it. And I'd like Tom to take it away there. And please go ahead.
Thank you, Randy. Lucas, is a presentation queued up? The one I sent in with
these are the 3 that I have.
First, can you go to the A, the 2 tabs over to the left? That's sort of there's the aerial view. Can you hit minus once or twice? Command minus. Okay, so
sorry, Tom, can you just mention for a moment, some of the other historical properties that you've done, just to give the commission an idea of your experience?
Yeah, we've done, we specialize in historical structures. We've done several George Washington Smith structures in Santa Barbara County, and Edwards and Plunkett, and Reginald Johnson, and Mary Craig, and A.B. Harmer, and we're passionate about this, and the Levitts are passionate about this too, and we're really excited about what will correcting some things that have been done since George Washington Smith did his work that detracted from the quality of the house. We're wanting to, on almost all the projects we work on, historical projects, there are 2 problems. One is the master suites, nowhere near up to current standards. And the second is the kitchen was made for servants, and now it's the heart of the house. And then usually there's inevitably been some insensitive work that's been done in the 80 or 90 years since the house was built. So our work always revolves around, or almost always revolves around those three items in a historical house. So this is the aerial view. North is up on the sheet. The front door is here. So you come in the driveway this way and make your way to the front door. And previously we had proposed adding a second floor here over the existing first floor. And we got the impression from the June meeting that some of the board was a little uneasy about that, because being the spec house C, we felt like the board wanted to preserve the front of the house. So we looked back to see how we could get everything, work out the problem that the house had with the addition, where you had to walk through this bedroom to get to this bedroom. Also, there's a beautiful view of Topa Topa going up this way from the living room. And when this addition was put in, it blocked most of it. So our constraints were the oak trees, the view, and we figured out a way that we could add respecting the view and respecting the oak trees, and making the addition distinct from what was there, but proportionate, so the addition is smaller in scale. And so that's a reasonable overview. Can we move on to the next slide? So this is the front of the house, and the appearance that we're proposing with this round would not change at all. The addition would be about 37 feet back from this front corner. And this on the right was originally a garage, and that was converted to a dining room. And then this addition happened in the past. But other than that, the front is original. Next slide, please. This is the tile in the entry, and everyone's in love with it. And we just want the board to know that we're keeping every spec of historic fabric like this. Next slide. This is moving around to the north. So this is looking to the southeast. So the building on the right is part of the original 2-bedroom wing. And where we're proposing to add is to the left of this. And the proposed addition would go about 7 feet beyond the former addition that you see in the background. And it would come about 2 feet 5 inches forward of the corner of the house that you see here. And that's to make a distinction between the old and the new. And it's to allow us to restore the view from the living room. And with that extension, we can fit the bathroom on the north side of the bedroom, so we don't have to push the bedroom wing, the addition wing, any further than it. The addition's about 27 feet long, and the original portion of this wing is about 37 feet long. And we wanted to keep the scale of the addition smaller than the scale of the original. And we didn't want any one elevation to be more prominent than the front elevation. So it's purposely broken into 2 pieces. A, to keep the scale reasonable, and B, to make a distinction between the original and the proposed. Next slide, please. This is on the right. You can see the end of the original northeast bedroom, and the French doors you see there facing north. We're proposing to move on, facing east. Left on the screen, we're proposing moving to the wall on the right, looking out toward the oaks. And then the addition would occur where this deck is, and plus 2 feet 5 inches, which is what the arborist said we could do without causing problems with the tree. And then it would extend about 7 feet beyond to the left of what this addition from the 40s extends. Next slide. This is the view of the rear of the house. And in the distance, you see the most important part of the house. It's the living room. It's got a 12-foot plate and beautiful ceilings, and we think it was designed to take advantage of the view of Topa Topa. It has two big French doors that look out to a courtyard, and it's pretty much a straight line from where the photo was taken to the living room is the shot of Topa Topa, and when the addition was put on, it blocked that view. On the left, you can see the kitchen wing moving forward, coming toward us. And right now there are two very small windows because again, that was built for servants. There's actually a screen for a small laundry porch, and then about a 24-inch wide window for a small booth that's a really tight fit for a family of four. Next slide, please. This is the south elevation of the kitchen wing, and the only change we're proposing here is to extend the wall on the right, which is facing Topa Topa, facing east, about a foot to allow us to put a new larger opening in. So there'll be a family dining area or breakfast room that takes advantage of the view of Topa Topa in the backyard. Next slide. So this was the view from the living room, and the view is more striking than you can tell from the photo, but that's Topa Topa in the distance. So when you go to the far south end of the living room, you can see it, but the addition blocks it from most of the room, and that's the addition you see through the French doors on the right. Next slide.
That's the last slide.
Okay, can you go to tab B? So this is somewhat of a repeat of what Lucas just shared. I think we covered the site plan pretty much with the aerial view. You can see that this is the original front of the house here, and this is the side of the house. And we thought it was important to not have the addition be a straight line from the original, because we didn't want the side of the house to start competing with the front of the house. And George Washington Smith and Andalusian architecture in general would usually start with the main piece, and then as you went further and further away, the pieces would get a little looser and freer and smaller scale and lower. And so that's why we thought it was important to break up the scale and change the roof material too. Speaking of the roof material, Smith did do parapet roofs mixed with tile roofs, but usually the tile roof portion was more predominant. Maybe it would be 2/3 tile gabled and 1/3 flat roof, and that was for service. And it started about 50-50 on this house because it's a humble, Andalusian farmhouse. And with the additions over the years, it got up to about 70-30, with 70% flat roof and 70% flat roof and 30% the tile roof. And it was starting to seem out of balance. And so that was another reason we thought it would be an advantage to the overall quality of the design to have the addition part go back to being a tile roof. So it gets us back to our 50-50 more or less tile versus flat. And this one corner here, the proposed roof overlaps the existing roof, and it's important to make it look good and natural, to have this ridge continue back. And if needed, this could be removed in the future but it's important for the architecture to look right and cohesive, and to the new architecture to complement the existing architecture. Okay, you want to move to the next slide? We'll go through this kind of quickly. So this again shows the addition that we're proposing to remove. This is the existing small, it's actually a little booth with a very small window. And then this is the mudroom outside porch that just has a washer and dryer and a screen. And from this point, it's the nicest one, probably the nicest view on the property up at Topa Topa and out at the garden. But you can't really see it now because, again, it was built for servants. The kitchen's also very small. So by opening this up, it can become more of the heart of the house for the way we live now and not the way we lived in the 20s. Next screen, please. So this was our algorithm. We wanted to restore the view of Topa Topa from these two very prominent French doors in the living room. So Randy actually stood on this red dot and took the photo you saw earlier up at Topa Topa. So this pink line is the existing addition. And by moving it back, I can't quite read that, it's about 9 feet, we restore the view to both doors. So you don't feel like you're boxed in when you're in the living room. We also we're providing a small sitting room vestibule to connect the living room to the bedroom, so you don't have to walk through this bedroom to get to the master. And the master bedroom's about a foot bigger in each direction than the existing master, so it's not overscaled. It's comfortable like the rest of the house. And the bathroom too, I think it's 6'4" wide by 9 feet long, and then there's a tub shower area and a toilet area, and then a 7'4" by 11 master closet, which is small by current standards, but adequate and in proportion to the scale of the house. This shows the new breakfast table, and the French doors opened up to take advantage of the view and provide enough room for the whole family to be in the kitchen. Next slide. So as Lucas said, there's really no change from the front of the house. Way back 37 feet, you see the addition. It's 3 to 4 feet lower than the existing parapet, so it's subservient. On the south, so that this is existing front and this is proposed front. This is the existing south. The kitchen is here, and the kitchen is still here. There's not enough storage in the kitchen, and we're proposing to put a pantry behind this window. We're keeping the window, but it's something we've done on a lot of projects. We're adding wood shutters on the inside, so it's as if they're closed wood shutters, but on the inside it's usable space for a pantry, and it's easily reversible. The window will always stay there. Next slide. So the upper this is existing rear elevation, and you don't really get a sense of how much this addition blocks off the back of the view, because the view goes off in this direction. But this is the addition we're proposing to remove. This is the French door we're proposing to move around to the north side, and then we're proposing to add on a smaller gable that is inspired by the main gable. This is the bedroom. This is a flip up or saddlebag roof that allows us to have the sitting area, and then this is the same for the master bathroom here, and then this is the door that goes out to the pool. And then in the kitchen, we're proposing this is a screen. It's actually outside space, and then this is a small window in the little booth, and we're proposing to add French doors here. In the north elevation, this is what it is now. This is really not visible. There's dense trees and bamboo just to the north of the north elevation. But that being said, here is the proposed addition, and here's the original. We're keeping this window, but we're moving the French doors from the east side of this bedroom to here, and then we're reusing all of the windows from the wing that's being demolished, because the windows actually are nice. They did a good job replicating the windows on the 1940s edition. So all these, though this window is relocated from the breakfast room, and all these other windows are relocated from the house. This window is this window. So as I was saying before, the addition has a lower plate. It's 7'10" here, and is lower and is shorter in this direction, so that the scale keeps getting smaller as you move away from the house. Moving into the courtyard, this is what's currently in the on the north side of the kitchen. There's a small window in the kitchen area, and it looks like a replaced plate glass window in the banquette area. The original drawings showed a pair of French casement windows here, and we'd like to restore that because the plate glass window just it doesn't look right. And then, since the kitchen's for family and not servants, we're proposing to take a French door that's being removed from the addition, this French door, which is also good. They did a good job on the doors and windows, and moving it here so there's direct access from the kitchen to this main courtyard. The north courtyard elevation currently looks like this. This is the wing that protrudes maybe 15 feet into the courtyard. And then this is recessed way to the north. So we're just reversing it. This is the sitting room, and it's about slightly, well, it's north of the existing south wall of the courtyard, but out of the view. And then the master bedroom steps back, and then we're proposing an outdoor fireplace with a chimney that matches the other chimneys in the house. Next slide, please. This is a little meditation studio, and I think we looked at it before, and it's the same as before. It's tucked underneath a shady area. The arborist has looked at it and said we're okay with the oak trees. It's just a place, it's a quiet place on a shady part of the property to retreat to. Next slide, please. These are just details. Basically, we're matching everything. So we're differentiating the addition from the original house with the forms, but the details that we're proposing to match existing, with very, very subtle differences, if any. And I think that's the end of this tab. Now, there's one more we could quickly run through. These are just a few images of George Washington Smith houses. This is the Casa Dracina in Montecito, and what we're proposing would be sort of this idea. There'd be the main courtyard. The sitting room would open out. Here would just be a pair of doors, not 4 doors. The roof's lower, this roof's higher. This is the living room. This house is also a mixture of parapets and tile, but it's maybe 2/3 to 3/4 tile and 1/3 to 1/4 parapet. Next slide, please. This is the front of that house. You could see again that the main part, or the important part of the house, was tile. And then as you stepped farther away from the main part, it became parapets, and then the garage is parapets. So generally, the more important had thicker walls and a tile roof, and as you went to the less important rooms and the service wings, that was the parapets and the flat roofs, and that's the pattern that we're emulating with this proposed design. Next, please. This is an example of another house where there was just one small parapet and then more tile roof beyond. But generally, it was mostly tile with parapet added here and there. And I guess that's that thought. And I think there's one more. This shows a feature we see a lot where, especially in the back or the side, and this is a service wing, where one roof plane just continues on to form more space as needed, and the forms get a little freer when you get away from the front part of the house. So I think that covers the points. Yeah, back to this. This sort of tells the whole story. So again, what we're doing is we're fixing the problem of having to walk through this bedroom to get to this bedroom, and the problem of the views of Topa Topa from the living room being blocked with this addition by adding an addition that makes more sense with what's important to the house and what's important to the original design. Giving access from not the bedroom to the addition, and adding French doors here so that the area that was built for servants is more family friendly. We're adding, one other quick point, we're adding about 17% of the square footage. So it's a pretty small, I think it's 17 gross and 15 net. It's a pretty small addition. We tried to, it's less than the last round. And our goal was to have the minimum impact possible. So that's the end of my part.
All right, thank you, Mr. Henson. Chair Akins, at this point, we probably open public hearing if that's.
Okay, so we will do the public hearing, public comments, and then we'll.
Unless there's questions, specific questions of the commission at this point.
Do you want to do that before the public comment or after?
I guess the order in this case doesn't necessarily matter. Public comment at this point is probably appropriate.
Yeah, I think I'd like to do that first. First off, I would like, do you have any that have been submitted since the meeting started?
Sherry, have we had anything since the meeting started? Any other public comments aside from the 8 that I just identified?
Nope, none.
None?
Okay, if I think it would be okay. Cynthia, do you have your letter with you?
No, I don't, but I kind of know it by heart. I just want to say that I've lived in the Arbolata for 30 years. I was very fortunate to receive this book from the previous owner, which is the original Arbolata book. And I'm just glad that Randy and Kasha are willing to undertake this. It's a beautiful piece of property, but when it was built, it literally the house faces Palomar. And so these changes are occurring in what you and I would call our backyards, because that's what the back of the house is, what faces Tico Road, and their entrance, you kind of have to go all the way through the property to get to it. Over the years, I've discussed this property with David Mason numerous times. And as I said in my letter, at one point, he said he was so thrilled that somebody didn't come in and just tear it down because it was outdated. It didn't meet the challenges of a family living there. And so when the previous owner was trying to do some minor renovations, he was just thrilled that people would want to do this. And the fact that Randy and Kasha took the additional step of getting it listed as a historical property, meaning that anything they wanted to do, they would have to go through this, not just the planning commission like the rest of us. And I like to just say it's about time somebody put the time, which they've already done, and the effort, which I hope you will allow them to do, to bring this property to something that we can be proud of it as a historical building, but more important, to see how George Washington Smith designed for the ages, thanks to the efforts of Tim Henson and his, Tom Henson, excuse me, and his firm. I just am 100% in support of it. And all of us who live around it have been waiting for this day for you to say yes. So please.
Great. Thank you very much, Cynthia. So I just set my watch to go for a 3-minute timer. So I'm going to hit start. So this is our 3 minutes of waiting to see if anyone's going to issue in the public
Chair,
comment.
can I interrupt you?
Yes, of course.
The IT specialist informed me that we do not need to do this 3-minute portion because it's a webinar where people can just join in. It's just the regular Zoom meetings that we do the 3-minute thing. That's what I was.
Aren't we on a Zoom?
We're a Zoom webinar, and webinar people join in. So we don't have to do the 3-minute waiting. That's for the Zoom meeting. I was informed by our IT specialist this evening.
Okay, Mr. Donnelly, you're our legal authority. Is that okay with you?
Well, I'm just checking now the agenda just to make sure that we are. So the agenda does say that. So members of the public who wish to speak via Zoom webinar under all agenda items may register in advance to do so at the following link. And so has there been anyone who has registered other than the people who are already on here who have not joined, Sherry?
No, all the registered people have registered through the city's IT specialist.
Okay. And and then the agenda also allows for members of the public who wish to submit public comments to submit via email. Have there been any comments submitted via email?
No.
Okay. At this point, then, if there's been no comments submitted and no one else has joined the webinar, we can move forward here.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sherry. Lucas, the only other question I have, and I guess this would be part of the applicant comments, is we do have Pamela Post here and Tim Hazeltine. Is there anything that they wanted to contribute as a part of the applicant presentation? Randy?
They don't represent me. It's not, if I'm the applicant.
Okay, they're here.
They were hired by the city.
Okay, they're here on behalf of the city. Sorry, different hat. So, Lucas.
Yeah, Tim or Pam, could you chime in here? Just give like maybe a 30-second brief on the historic resources report.
Sure. This is Tim Hazeltine. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So essentially, Pam and I evaluated the revised project, which we supported in our report, primarily because the additions are to the back. And we felt it was especially one exhibit that's illustrative of how the primary elevation, the entrance elevation, is visually and physically unimpaired by the proposed addition is on, if you look at sheet A 3.0 or figure 63 in our report. And as you can see, the view of the gable roof on the addition from the front of the house, or the small addition that would pop out on the north elevation, is very insubstantial. And the reality is, if you weren't looking at this as an elevation drawing that brings everything up to one plane, that these additions would not be visible from the front of the house. We also felt that removing the post-1922 addition, which is not associated with George Washington Smith or Mr. Libby, would not remove an element of the house that contributes to its designation as a landmark. We felt that this proposal achieved the goal of preserving the substantially significant parts of the house by relegating the addition to what is at the rear of the building. And that while there will be changes and relocation of some windows, the core of the house would not be altered. and we felt that was important. Reusing some of the fenestration from the post-1922 edition would allow the addition to be sympathetic to the house, but differentiated by using a different roof type. And we realize the gable there is a little different on the bedroom wing addition, but that allows the viewer to look at the back of the house and say, okay, here are the flat roofed parapet areas. Here's the original living room wing. And you can see this other wing, which is slightly different. And we felt that achieved the goal of being visually differentiated from the original house. We also classified this project as a rehabilitation because it's not really a restoration. A restoration would be a goal of returning the house to a specific point in its history, a specific year or period. And that is not what the applicant is proposing. And also, if it was a restoration project, all the additions that had been added from 1922 on after 1922 would have to be removed, which would include one of the bedrooms and, or actually two of the bedrooms that exist today. So for the purposes of a review, this is really a rehabilitation.
Great, thank you, Tim. Lucas,
Yeah, and
anything
we're
else?
here to answer any questions.
Excuse me, Chair.
Yes.
We did have Dawn Teeting join us. She pre-registered and she may want to speak.
I think she is speaking on one of the items rather than public comment. I'm not sure. Can you check with her?
James Hahn, will you check with, is there a way to let Dawn in to let us know? Okay, he's letting.
So thank you, Tim. Until we get Dawn in, is there anything else, Lucas, from your staff point? Okay, Dawn's coming online. She's gonna unmute her mic. Dawn, welcome.
Thank you. I'm waiting for the, hello?
Yeah, so you have a specific item that you want to address, is that correct?
Correct. It's for the nomination, if
Yeah, not a
needed.
general public comment.
Correct. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I think at this time we close the public comment and we move on to commissioner questions. Is that correct, Lucas?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll open it up to commissioner questions on what you've heard, either to staff or to the applicants. Yes, go ahead, Gina.
I would just like to say something that there was one of the letters that came from, I think it was a realtor in Menlo Park, Darcy, that made it sound like there was contention going on between the homeowners and the HPC. And I just wanted to clarify that as of this point, it came to us in June as a discussion item. And we have never shown any opposition or in favor of this property. We've just been in discussion. We have been doing a lot of listening, a lot of research, visiting the property. But as of now, there hasn't been any time where we've said for or nay on this property. I just wanted to make that clear.
Great, thank you. Just let me clarify that real quick. Darcy Gamble was a member of the Ojai HPC. I asked Sherry about this. She served on the HPC from October 12, 2009 to February 2014. Just a matter of record. But yes, I understand what you're saying, Gina. Gina, go ahead.
That I just wanted to make that clear that as of now, up until this point, it's just been a lot of listening.
Yes, it has. The discussion item at that time was basically comments and allowing the applicant to speak because it was a part of the agenda, and then we closed that hearing.
Right.
Thank
So
you,
any going back to the drawing board and taking it from a 2-story to a 1-story did not come by our request.
No, it didn't.
Just wanted to make that clear.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
I mean, but it was based on your comments that we wanted to find something that everybody would be more happy with, so it was, if that's helpful.
It was, and Darcy did send a letter for the June meeting, and then this is a follow-on letter based on the new information. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Gina. Other questions by commissioners? Thais or yes, Valerie?
How much of the original? There was like 300 square feet that were being taken away, I think. And how much of that 300 was the original property prior to 1922? How many square feet? Does anybody know?
None of it. Yeah, so, but Tom can answer, but I don't believe any historic square
Tim,
footage.
go right ahead.
Yeah, this is Tim Hazeltine. It's our understanding that no historic square footage is being removed.
Yeah, no.
Thank you, Valerie. There's about 700 feet that are being added, of which 400 something feet came from the 1941 structure that's being demolished.
Okay.
So essentially 400 feet from that, and then 300 feet that's being added onto the new item. Is that correct, Tom?
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't have any opposition because it doesn't seem like any of the historic part of the house is being removed. So, and even if it was, it's a very small amount.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything from the core that's being removed. If I'm incorrect, please correct me.
Yeah, but I want to clarify something just on that point.
Yes, Lucas.
Nothing of that is being removed. The wall along the eastern edge of the kitchen, that is being removed. I think let's just make sure that we're clear on that.
Yes, that's on the other side of the house.
It's not on the back side of the house, so it can't be seen from the street.
Correct.
So.
Correct. Okay, thank you very much, Valerie. Thais, did you? And we'll get to you next, Gina.
I don't have any questions, but I would like to say that I think Tom did a really good job this time of explaining the project. And so I really appreciate that.
Great, thank you, Thais. Yes, Gina.
I was just wondering where the French doors going in, where the right now it's that kitchen nook, is I don't see stairs that go down. Is it just like a little veranda, or are there stairs that go to the outside?
It's just a little veranda. It's similar to the ones that are on the front of the house now, because there are two other ways out, and we didn't want to have a big grand looking staircase going out. We thought it would be more low key if it was just a little railing that matched the other railings on the house.
Thank you.
Like a Juliet balcony.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You spoiled my one thing that made it look like I was paying attention. Yes.
So sorry. So sorry, Brian.
That's okay. Okay. I did talk to Terry Hill this afternoon. I not sure whether I did that with my museum hat on or with my HPC hat on or just knowing Terry personally. So he said you had in doing the peer review, had a very nice hour-and-a-half meeting, had a good talk. He helped me. I was not aware that there was a 3-color George Washington Smith color palette. I'm intrigued to find out whether Thais's house is pink, white, or creamy white. So she owns one of them. But there were questions that came up in some of the emails, and most of them have been answered. One of the things Terry talked about, and I know you talked about this in the meeting, that there is fine tile that's in the house, both from the entry standpoint as well as some tile drainage that I hadn't noticed when I took the tour. And he said those were George Washington Smith kind of things that they did. He told me that none of the tile essentially was being taken away. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Again, that was a question that came up. You answered the roof line question very well. Thank you very much. I'll get to my personal question. Paint palette, we talked about windows. I love that you are reusing the windows as well as reusing the two of the 3 French doors are being reused. I got the impression in looking at this and talking with people and looking at data was that there are windows that are in the structure that was landmarked that may have changed from when it was built in 1922.
That's
So
what-
when we talk about not changing windows, that, ship has left the harbor to a degree. But I love that, again, you are taking and reusing these because, as you pointed out, the 1941 edition, although I had real issues with it because when Randy and Kasia had me sit on the dining room or in the living room couch and adjust where I was seating, I just found it really hard to believe that someone would put a building in place of being able to see the pink moment on the Topa Topas at night.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have shaded it, the situation enough to bring that back is heartwarming to me. There also in the earlier thing were some concerns about the trees. I know when I talked to you, and you mentioned that too, that you had an arborist in that told you exactly where are the locations you could build where you wouldn't impact those magnificent oak trees that are there. Randy, you mentioned something to me where you were doing kind of a support up off the ground a little bit. Is that still part of the plan?
Absolutely. A grade, Tom actually suggested a long grade beam and 2 hand-dug piers.
It's a shallow grade beam that only goes about 6 inches into the ground, and it can span up to 8 or 10 feet, being supported by hand-dug piers. And they dig the piers, and if they find a root, they can move over. So mainly, they can preserve almost all the roots. And there's probably not a lot there anyway because there's already the deck there.
Mm-hmm. Again, thank you, Randy, for mentioning that. I didn't hear it in the presentation, so I wanted to make sure it was included. Let's see. So the one question I had, which is unrelated, I'm sorry, but I'm kind of a history guy, is who built the wall around the property? Do we know?
I think the previous owners did.
Nelson?
No.
Kim Phillips and Ted Levine, who bought the house from Mary Nelson. As I said, this is their backyard, and at that point there was nothing between the streets. So they came before the Planning Commission. That was the one that David Mason was also attended to get a wall that was in keeping with the whole Spanish architecture, rather than put in a chain link fence just to have some privacy and protections for their animals.
Thank you, Cynthia, because again, having been on the commission for a while, walls within the arbolata are kind of a touchy point at times. Okay, I have no other questions. Anyone else? Yes, Gina.
I was wondering, this is to the architects, that we talk about this as a rehabilitation and not a restoration. So what you are proposing to do in 2020, if in the future owner wants to do a restoration, is there anything that you could do to get it back to its original state after, assuming that, you said that the overlap roof could be removed, but could it be brought back if the next owners wanted to go back to the drawings? Yeah,
actually, it would be easier what we're doing would be easier to undo than what's already been done. Because the dining room's been added, the original garage was demolished and the dining room was built in its place because the dining room is 3 or 4 feet wider than the garage, and the garage was down about 3 feet and the dining room's up in the air, and then that whole other addition was added. So yeah, everything we're proposing is separate.
Well, thank you.
And thank you, Gina. Thais, go ahead.
Well, I'd just like to maybe speak to what Val had asked before. So I think that we're looking at a new door, though, from the living room into the sitting room. And I don't think, Tom, that you mentioned that. And just so Val knows that is a change to the main house. But it's not significant change, but it is a change, just so that she knows. And then what I would like to also speak to, I don't know how you can do it differently, but the traffic flow still the master bedroom, Randy has been using one of the bedrooms as the office, I know. So, to go from that bedroom, you have to go through the sitting room, through the living room, through the entry, through the hall, and into that other bedroom. So do you see that as a problem? Or probably
No.
Randy's fine with it, right?
In a Andalusian farmhouse, it's not like one of Smith's more formal houses that would have a grand entry hall, and from there you'd go to all the different rooms. It was set up to you'd go right from the living room, right in the dining room, right in the kitchen. It's not a big enough house to need a separate hallway. If someone ever wanted it, we could move the laundry somewhere else and punch right through the entry into the sitting room. But
that was actually my suggestion to Randy originally. And Kasha had this better idea. So, but that's the way I saw it, because not having to have that part that sticks out into the courtyard, to me would be preferable. But that's my opinion. It's not a legal opinion or based on anything. So, but no. Yes, you could definitely do that.
We seriously considered that, and what it would have taken would have been pushing the addition out about 7 more feet, so the laundry room could sneak between the bedroom and the closet. And we didn't think it was. We didn't want it to start getting too massive. We wanted to keep everything as compact as possible.
And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great, thank you, Thais. Anything else we should talk about, Lucas? Anything we haven't covered?
Not necessarily. I feel like we're covering it. We've covered pretty much everything. Any other questions? I guess at this point.
I think we are doing fine. Randy, Kasha, do you want to introduce your daughter?
Hi, I'm Ula.
Hello, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, of course. How are you guys?
This is government, how it's supposed to work, I believe. So, great, thank you. Gina, did you have something else or just giving a thumbs up? Great, thank you. Okay, so at this time then, I believe, Lucas, we're ready for a motion. Is that correct?
Yes.
Trying to make sure I'm taking all the steps correctly. So is there someone that would like to make a motion, one of the commissioners?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
That we move forward. I don't know how to say it exactly.
That we grant the major work permit, I think is how it should be phrased. Is that Mr. Dominic?
So you're making, Nikhil.
So, the motion, so the action right now before the commission is, and it's the staff's recommendation is to adopt a resolution approving major work permit for, which is work permit 20-001 for proposed single-story addition and partial demolition of a historic single-family residence and construction of an accessory building at 410 Tico Road. It's landmark number 15, based on the findings and conditions in the draft resolution. So the resolution, the staff has already prepared one. It's attachment A in the staff report. And so the motion, if I'm understanding what we're referring to when we say move forward is to adopt this resolution, that would be the motion to adopt the resolution approving the major work permit.
Okay, Valerie, is that your resolution or your
yes,
motion?
I want to adopt the resolution to approve the major work permit for this property number 15.
Okay, do we have a second? Okay, I will second that motion. Okay. Sherry, do you want to call for a vote? First of all, do we have any
who the
further
second
discussion?
was? Who seconded?
The second was myself.
Oh, you did.
Do we have any further discussion? Okay, Sherry, will you call for the vote, please?
Akins?
Yes.
Quinn?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
McCatton?
Yes.
Motion
Great,
passes.
thank you. Don't celebrate yet, folks. The second motion is this is a Mills Act house. And Lucas, I think do we need to go ahead and make a motion to continue this as a Mills Act property because of the changes we're talking about? Or is it still continuing from the original landmarking?
It's continuing from the existing landmark. There are conditions of approval that you just voted on unanimously that include the continuation of working on getting another 10-year or something very similar, up to 10 years, renovations, improvements, modifications that help to preserve that Mills Act contract over the next up to 10 years. And that's a condition of approval that's already baked into the resolution itself. So.
Great. Thank you very much. Yes. Thais.
Craig had suggested that we also ask that the plaque be placed on the home. And
I was going to get to that.
I'm sorry? You were going to talk
I was going to get to that. So.
Well, I was not aware that the plaque wasn't on it. Now, I actually think that we as a commission should have the requirement that any house that is landmarked should have the plaque, in my opinion. But anyway, so tell us what you think, what you were going to talk about.
Okay, no, I was just going to then close that portion. And so the landmarking request has passed with a unanimous vote. Yes, great. I would like to, first of all, I would like to thank Lucas. Lucas has done a lot of work and worked with a lot of individuals. Lucas has been here since last fall. This is the first time I know of where we've taken the landmark and actually made a change like this. So it was somewhat whole new work. He has worked with each of the individuals that are here. So thank you, Lucas. I want to thank Randy and Kasia and her daughter. And the son may be hiding out someplace. And thank you for your perseverance in doing this. First of all, thank you for landmarking the property in 2008. Cynthia, David and I were good buddies. He would have exactly said that, as you said, that he would be glad somebody landmarked it and saved the property. So thank you, Levitt family. I also want to thank Tom. Thank you for your work on this and for keeping us informed and working with Lucas and everybody. Thank you to Pamela Post and Tim Hazeltine. Again, I want to emphasize, because somebody brought this up, the RFP that was done in working for the city was issued by Lucas. There were 6 responses. It was Lucas that then chose the ag organization, in this case, Post Hazeltine, to work with Lucas in doing the follow-on report. And Cynthia, you're one of these. Thank you for the many letter writers that flowed in over these past few days, including today. So thank you all very, very much.
I wanted to thank Terry Hill too.
Terry Hill, yes. Thank you, Valerie. Yes, Terry Hill, our museum representative. So yeah. we have a board meeting next Wednesday, and I will be sure and pass his participation on to the board so that they understand. They were a little bit mysterious on what this meant to begin with. Thank you.
Yeah, and in addition to that, regarding Terry Hill, he was super helpful, super responsive, and willing to work at a moment's notice. So I certainly appreciated that in the time frame that we had to work with. It was pretty tight. So I was certainly encouraged to see that he was willing to work with us in that timeline. So yes.
Great, thank you. And again, to the letter writers, because they keep us honest and keep us moving the way we should. So they're a nice check and balance to that. Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate all your time and your care, coming and visiting, looking, dealing with our tours.
Thank you.
Very kind of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So is that it? Can we leave now?
Unless you'd like to talk about our annual historic recognition.
We're gonna go get some wine or something.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Job committee.
Thank you, Sherry. And of course, I want to thank all of our commissioners that have been involved and made it here tonight. Thank you. Okay, so next item is the Historic 2020 Historic Preservation Award. Lucas, do you have any staff? I think Pam's still with us. Do you have any staff report on that?
Just that, I mean, this is a continuation from what we had talked about previous. There are 4 nominees. We did receive, I would say it's background information regarding Darwin McCready, which I believe he was on the commission right up until right before I started.
Right up until that last meeting last fall, that I missed by 5 minutes.
Yeah. So that's the only addition that was provided after the agenda report went out for the full commission.
Okay.
So anyway, it's a discussion item for tonight for certain.
Great.
And then there's the recommendation. So we have 2 recommendations. That's to review the candidates for the 2020 Annual Historic Preservation Award, and then the second piece to that is to direct staff to draft a resolution for commission to adopt, making a recommendation to the City Council to ratify Commission's decision. So those are the 2 pieces that we've got on for discussion tonight.
Okay, so we have 2 annual awards, Darwin McCready and Perry Van Houten, and then 2 Lifetime Achievement Awards suggested for the Cloughs and for Patricia Clark Dorner, and I sent information on that, I think was part of your packet. So, commission discussions. How about we start with the 2 annuals first, please, Gina.
I would just like to say that one of the
wait just a second. I'm sorry. We have a public comment. Darwin is sitting out there on the Ethernet, or not Darwin, Dawn is sitting out on the Ethernet. Sherry, can you let her in, please?
James is going to let her in. James will let her in.
Dawn, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can. Can you then go ahead and speak, please?
Not a public comment. I just wanted, I wanted to make sure that both my initial letter and addendum were received by the commission, and I'm just standing by if there's any questions.
I received those both. Everybody else received the 2 items? It looks like they did. So my question to you, Don, and I had sent it to you. So you listed articles in different seasons. And can you tell us what publication this was?
They were published in the Ojai Valley Visitors Guide that is put out by the Ojai Valley News.
Great, thank you. Okay, other questions for Dawn while we have her? Yes, Gina.
No, not for Dawn.
Oh, okay. Okay, no other questions for Dawn? Okay, go ahead.
Hi.
Oh, great. Thank you, Don. Then the other person we talked about was Darwin. And again, Cindy emailed us an update for Darwin on information on that. So discussion on Perry Van Houten and Darwin McCready by the commission members.
I would like to say something. At the end of the last meeting, one of the things that was discussed was whether or not we were going to run out of people. And if we should spread it out. I went through all 4 of these, both the 2 Lifetime and the 2 HP awards. And every one of these is has validity to it. I think from my personal thing would just be whether or not we wanted to spread them out or do them all at once. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Great, thank you, Gina. Thais, did you have a comment?
No, but I agree with Gina that when we have deserving people, we can make the decision to have more than one, I think. Hopefully we wouldn't run out of people and more people would step up. So I have no objection to having more than one.
Great, thank you. I went back, Sherry provided the list of recipients on these different awards over the years. And in multiple years, there were multiple people that received them. So again, I would lean towards recognizing somebody when they're here. I'd hate to think that we recognize somebody because their health may have been less, and because you just never know in this environment. Valerie, did you have any comments?
I think, yeah, one lifetime and I was thinking of Don and Sheila Clough for a lifetime award.
Okay, well, we'll get to that in a minute. So we're just talking about multiple recipients.
Okay.
Okay, do we then, for the annual historic award recipients, do we have a motion from the commission?
I'm happy to make a motion for both parties to go forward.
And I would second that motion.
Okay, great. Any comment? Sherry, could you call the roll then, please?
Of course. Chair Akins?
Yes.
Vice Chair Quinn?
Yes.
Commissioner McHatton?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Motion
Okay,
passes,
great. Thank you.
and we'll bring to the next meeting the resolutions.
Excellent. Thank you, Sherry. And the other thing that we will want, never mind. So the next question, or the next issue, is for the Lifetime Achievement Awards. We have, again, two nominees. First is Don and Sheila Clough, or Sheila and Don Clough. We did an oral history interview with them, and I kind of wondered how that would happen, whether one, because they're fabulous people with fabulous thoughts, on whether one would override the other, and they were a great partnership for the hour and a half that we sat there and interviewed with them. They were just amazing to listen to, amazing to talk about their lifetime experiences together and what they individually and together had achieved. So Cindy put forth the information on them. Any comments on Don and Sheila Clough?
I just heartily agree with Cindy. I think that, and you, that they're a great couple. I've known them ever since I came to Ojai, which was a long time ago. They've always been contributing the whole time.
They are wonderful people. The second individual I nominated was Pat Clark Dorner. I have here, you can see my paperwork that was in an hour's Google search. I talked to Pat. Pat had actually she lived in a house up above Creek Road on the Clark Ranch. They had put in a big water container above their house. They had just done that in the year or two previous to the Thomas fire. Had the hoses all in place, thought that would protect their house, and it burned to the ground. And it had somewhere between, depending on which story you read, somewhere between 14 and 16 5-drawer filing cabinets that were full of Ojai history and Clark family history. And wow, which is, in hearing that, I've been trying to digitize everything I can. So Pat Clark Dorner, unbeknownst to me, Sherry keeps a spreadsheet on all of us on when we started and when we finished. Pat Clark Dorner was on the Historic Preservation Commission for 17 years. As I pointed out, those were the days when they actually did the history reports themselves. There were videos. She has been a representative of Ojai. With the fire taking her house, she ended up moving down to Ventura, so she's still close. Again, I've known her. I've known her through the museum. Her husband, Richard Dorner, who she married in 1995, I think it was the treasurer for the Ojai Valley Museum. He told me for 26 years. I've been it for 9. I am not going to be here 17 years from now. Although I'm going to take a new job in 6 days with the museum, or a new appointment. Other questions on Pat that I can answer? Okay, could we get a motion on the Cloughs and on Pat Clark Dorner, please?
I would make a motion that we accept both nominees for the Lifetime Achievement Award.
And I'll second that.
Thank you, Gina. Okay, Sherry, can we get a vote?
Chair Akins?
Yes.
Vice Chair Quinn?
Yes. Commissioner
James? Commissioner James, I didn't hear.
James is muted.
You're on mute.
Yes.
Commissioner McHatton.
Yes.
Motion
Great.
passes. Thank you.
Great, thank you all. Okay, so see, I think the next thing is for the plaque for the Perkins house. The placement of the plaque. We have not, and as far as the plaque goes for Randy, I was thinking that I will work with Lucas and with Randy, now that we've actually made that a landmark, continue the landmark on the plaque and where it is located. Thais, I know you have yours close to your front door, and I'm told it can be seen by going to your front gate and looking down the walkway.
Right. I like mine to be seen from the front gate. You know, so, and on the Aliso house, I put it right on the front of the house between the two front doors.
Uh-huh. I know, I love that. I didn't want to go over and check your house because I didn't want you to go, what's that Brian Akins doing? Sneaking around my house.
Yeah, knock on the door next time.
Okay.
But I think Randy has a plaque because I got a picture of it last month. But
Yes, he
so
does.
I was actually,
Yes,
sorry?
he definitely has a plaque. I talked to him about it either, I think it was either today or yesterday about that. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Chair Akins, we can work offline with him in terms of.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I'm told.
Can I just say one more thing about Randy's plaque? No matter where he puts it, you're not going to see it from the street. It's just me. It's just the principle of the thing. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. Okay, so going on the apples, Carrie Apple Perlman and Tracy at their house. I'm sorry, what?
Appel.
Oh, Tracy
Carrie
Apple. Oh, Carrie. I'm sorry, Carrie Apple Perlman.
It's Tracy Akins.
Who was that?
Kidding. I'm screwing around with you guys, but we need to.
Oh, there you are. You jumped in there.
Tracy's here. Great.
Nice. Sorry, I didn't see you pop in there at the bottom, Tracy.
Hey, Brian.
Hello. So they sent Sharon and I some pictures, and Tracy was the model for this.
Yes.
Thank you.
They could have done better, but he was probably the right price.
Thanks, Brian.
I like the little ponytail in the back there.
The Ojai thing.
Yeah, there we go. So if you're facing the front door, Tracy or Carrie, correct me, it would be to your left on that wall there. Is that correct?
Correct.
Great. Okay, so I'm not sure we normally get involved in plaque placement, but it ended up on the agenda. So any thoughts? Yes, Thais.
Well, I just want to say, as far as getting involved, we always have gotten involved, not necessarily at this level, but we've sent out a representative to look at the placement. And of course, on City Hall, we all did vote on where that went. So I think we're responding to that. Usually someone comes out and helps the homeowner, but because they've submitted it, we can probably act on it. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an item we can work on. Any other comments, Valerie, Gina?
I think that's okay to not just have it on the front, but have it to the side.
Great. And that still works for you, Carrie and Tracy?
Yep.
We're good.
Yep, we're good.
Okay, then can we get a motion to go ahead and support that?
I'll so move.
Great. Second? Okay, Valerie seconds that. Roll call, Sherry?
I'm coming. Akins?
Yes.
Quinn?
Yes.
McHatton?
Yes.
James?
Yes. Yes.
Great. Thank you all. And thank you, Tracy and Carrie.
Thank you
Carrie,
all.
Once again.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 Okay, flip over to next item is a update on the Downtown Historic Ad Hoc Committee. Gina?
We this is something for Lucas. I don't know if you need to know, but we moved it a day earlier. It's the second Monday instead of the second Tuesday now.
Oh.
We brought in Craig Walker as on our ad hoc, and he was unavailable on Tuesday. So we made that available for him to be there.
So you said the second Monday?
Second Monday of the month. That way it's halfway between each.
Are you sure it's the second Monday or the fourth Monday?
Sorry, fourth. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Thank you for correcting me. Yes, because it's halfway. I'm sorry. I have another board on the. Okay, yes.
Okay.
So it is the fourth Monday. Sorry about that.
Great. And so we did do the one meeting when we did it versus via Zoom. And do you want to talk about the assignments we each received?
Do you want to do that?
I will. So Gina has been working hard with kind of two hands. One is for community outreach, and the second is to actually identify the properties that are within that area that we designated as a potential downtown historic district. Craig was going to look up processes and procedures and how we can do it efficiently, correctly, and cheap, since the city has no money to help us with. And he found some great information in San Luis Obispo. Brian was to go to the library and to see what we have in existing historical reports. And so I did that yesterday. I had a bit of time and I sent you out a partial from what I found. I just did that because I think it's good for people to know what's in the museum archives.
I think it works out good if we can look at the downtown area that we want to have as a historic district and then find every single property that's already had some sort of report to find out how we can anchor the landmark area. I know that Craig did mention that he was wondering why we didn't and if we could include City Hall. So I don't know if we can swing that around there to include that, but that was the only change that we thought about.
Great. Yeah, we can certainly look at that. Great. Thank you, Gina.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just an update. Next item is anything from staff?
Up until about 4 o'clock this afternoon, I didn't have anything, but something just came on our radar that I wanted to make the commission aware of, because it probably would be something that comes down the pipeline. But the arcade, there was actually a repainting of the arcade that was done not pursuant to going through the process. So we've done a stop work order for them halfway through, and they'll be going through the process, the true process, the permitting process of it, going through the commission process. So expect to see something like that in the near future. But yeah, unfortunately, it was something that was started yesterday. We were just made aware of it today. So we're addressing it currently, but I wanted to make the commission aware of it.
Thank you.
We know where it is, which.
Hold on. I actually have the address. Give me a second here.
The former Human Arts, 246 East Ojai Avenue.
Yeah, East Ojai. There we go.
Okay. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you. Thank you.
Did the city do that, or did they do that?
No, the city didn't do that.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, great. Anything else we need to bring up in our meeting?
No, nothing that I can think of currently.
Okay, I forgot to gavel us in. Remember, I had the David Mason thing for 30 years on the cultural resources. Mr. Damley, anything else that we?
No.
Thank you for standing in for Matt. We appreciate that.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, and we'll sign off.
Thank you.
Adios, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.